3 a.m. in the morning. I'm sitting all
That's hit to
alone.
right field. Long run for Pilar. And Pilar all out into foul territory to make the play.
3 a.m. in the morning.
Bogarts with a drive out to right field. Judge is back on it, and that one's gone.
Against all odds. Here's a high fly ball driven deep to right. Verdugo back to the pen. Leaps up. He caught it. He caught the ball. He took it back.
And I will keep on waiting for a better day.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pesky Poll podcast. My name is Robert, and we have a very, very special episode for you guys. This is episode 50. First of all, the 50th episode of the Pesky Poll podcast. We've almost been running for a full year now. It's absolutely insane. But joining me for this special 50th episode, we got 3 college kids who just started a podcast. They are on episode, they technically said 14 or 13 and a half, but I'll let them introduce themselves to you guys. Some of you might know them. Featured on the Section 10 podcast, the Gone Bridge Boys. Guys, how you doing today?
Doing fantastic. I'll tell you that much.
I'm so excited to have you on, like I said. Now, most of my audience, I know, are Section 10 listeners, probably about 60%, so some of them probably heard you guys before, but reintroduce yourself to people. Tell them who you are, what your major is, stuff like that.
I'll kick it off. My name's Alex. I am a sophomore at UNH, business analytics major. Yeah.
Nice.
I am Steve Brady on the podcast. I'm known as Steve, as per usual. I'm a communication major. Also go to UNH, just like the rest of the two of us, whatever. And yeah.
And I'm Andrew. I'm a sophomore accounting student with a minor in business management or sports management. Jeez, I don't even know my minor. And yeah, pumped to be here. This is going to be a fun show.
This is going to be awesome. I can't wait. But I just have to say it first. Massachusetts is better than New Hampshire. I'm sorry.
Mass is better than New Hampshire. I totally
Can't
agree.
disagree.
We agree.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Then why'd y'all choose UNH?
Because
We
it's a nice school. We got a good administration and a lot of good people. I wouldn't have met these two guys if I didn't go to UNH, so I'm happy I chose there.
UMass doesn't bring a group like this together.
No,
Tell you that much.
I agree. Yeah, I'm from Connecticut, and I looked at
yikes.
UMass, I looked at UNH, and I was just like, you know what? UNH is the one. Pretty close to Boston, and yeah, I've been fortunate enough to meet these two guys and been having a lot of fun with this.
All right. So before we start, I do have to ask, how did we get this whole thing running together, and where did we get the name from?
All right. Well, back in the spring, I started doing radio. We have a radio station on campus, and I was doing sports radio. And I met the sports, I guess he was like the program director. His name is Kevin Larney. He's a senior at UNH now. Great guy. So the show is called Wild Chat Sports. And once we got sent home from COVID, he started reaching out to a bunch of people on social media, doing interviews, doing podcasts. I've done interviews with him, with like Johnny Damon, Johnny Gomes, Rajay Davis.
You're kidding.
Yeah, we've had some really great guests. He's interviewed Floyd Mayweather, a bunch of actors. So
What?
he's killing the game. So we stayed in touch all summer. I was doing a lot of like blogging for his site. And so once we got back up to school, the Red Sox, the season was kind of winding down, but I wanted to do more with the Red Sox, but I didn't really know who to do it with. So, I was in ATO. I think it was both of them came up to me, and they knew that they'd like seen some of my interviews before, and they were like, hey, like we should do a baseball episode together. I was like, listen, that sounds like a great idea. And then from there, I was kind of like, hey, like this doesn't have to be like one episode.
Mm-hmm.
We can have it be a running series. And originally it was going to be just on the Wild Chat Sports YouTube page.
Yep.
And then it was towards the end of October, beginning of November. And I was like, hey, like I texted Kevin, could we do like a Red Sox podcast? And he was like, absolutely. Cause he didn't have like another podcast besides the main one. So we started it up. First episode was a little rough compared to what we're working with now, but it's been a ton of fun. And I mean, just where we're at right now, I know that none of us envisioned it. I don't know what else you guys have to say about it, but that's kind of how we started.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I'll chime in real quick. All I wanted was I definitely went up to Clausen first or Alex, and I said I knew Gardner or Andrew had his own little show going, and I said, Alex, don't you think it would be fun if we did an episode on Andrew's show just about the Red Sox? Because I know you love the Red Sox just as much as I do, and I know that Andrew loves the Red Sox just as much as either of us do. I think that would be really fun. So we approached Andrew after we knew him, obviously, because he was in the same fraternity as us or getting like recruited to the same fraternity as us. And we knew him a little bit and we approached him and he was all about it. And then the main producer of the Wild Chat Sports, who is kind of our big brother in this situation, really took us under his wing, I guess you could say, and it's been working really well for us, and it's been a really good relationship, and it's been my favorite part of the week, honestly, recording these episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm pretty glad we didn't just do one episode because if you go back and listen to episode 1, it's terrible.
The first
Like,
It's
episode
tough.
is
like
always
I don't think
so bad.
I know for
Yeah,
me,
it's always
not
rough.
prepared. I was not prepared at all. I kind of didn't know what we were talking about. And then like we just hopped in and it was a lot of like ums and buts and likes. And
Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't
I
much.
still
Spoiler
do
alert,
that.
they're
I still
brutal.
do that.
It just wasn't much of a conversation. It was basically I would bring up a topic and I'd be like, Steve, what do you think about this? And he'd answer and I'd be like, okay, Alex, you
Yeah.
go. And then we move on to the next thing. And now it's gotten to the point where, we will go into an episode with at max, I would say 2 to 3 talking points, and we'll come out and we'll have a whole bunch of other stuff that we will talk about. And I think that's the sign of a good relationship with who you're recording with. I mean, it just shows that you guys get each other, and I mean, it's taken us time. I will say that it's not something that.
Yeah,
happens
I'd
overnight.
say that we didn't produce an even remotely decent podcast until at least episode 5.
Mm-hmm.
I would, yeah.
I
And
didn't.
every episode since then has been way better, but even the first 5 were just tough. They were
Yes, I see. When I was just getting started with this thing, me and my friend who I started with were always looking on like what angle do we drive this in to make this unique. There are a ton of baseball podcasts out there. How do we make ours unique? And we were just like, we need to make this funny somehow. But we weren't really like putting out our own personalities till like episode 20. It took us so long to get like really into that mindset that you guys are
It's
talking.
not easy. It's really not
Yeah,
easy.
exactly. And for 2 guys that have never picked up a microphone before, that have never done a podcast, like I still remember our first episode we let out on February 20th, I believe. And with you remember what happened the week before that?
Before February 20th?
Yes. Right in the middle of February.
Was that the whole Astros? Was that like Corey getting fired? Or?
Nope, that's a big thing with the Red Sox.
You got to tell me. You got to tell me.
Yep, there we go.
Oh, geez.
Wait,
yeah.
what'd you say?
come on.
What was it?
Mookie
that took
Betts.
us way too long to figure
I've
out.
totally blocked that out of my
Yep,
Was
mind.
that
was
really?
That was
Was that
episode
really like a year ago?
1. Yes, that was
Wow.
almost 1 year ago
That's
to this
bad.
point. It still hurts so bad. But
I pushed that so far to my subconscious. I forgot about that
Yeah,
one.
let's
Exactly,
not talk
same.
about it too much.
nope, he's happy, we're happy, but we're sad at the same time. That's what we'll say. But
Doing as good as we could be.
yes, I want to get into the news, and then I do got some more questions for you guys at the end about the whole podcast because I'm really curious about your guys' startup and everything. But
Yeah, for sure.
first thing we got to talk about, some sad news came out. It was either yesterday or 2 days ago. For us, right, 2007, I was only 8 years old. I'm assuming you guys were only like 5, 6 years old.
I was 7 that year.
Yeah, I would have
I
been
was 6.
Same age range,
Six.
just about.
Yep. So we saw this guy has been in our Red Sox lives literally the entire time we've loved baseball. And to just watch Dustin Pedroia retire like this, I'm not gonna lie, it hurts. It hurts
Yeah.
really bad.
It doesn't feel good. It feels like it was a long time coming, but no amount of time could have prepared me for actually saying goodbye to this guy
Mhm.
because, like you said, he was pretty much everybody's favorite player. He was the AL MVP. He was the Rookie of the Year. He
Mhm.
was the heart and soul of the Red Sox, and he had a great career with us. And I'm gonna miss him. I'm just gonna miss him.
Yeah, I'm not-
God.
I was just gonna say, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of prepping for this. I think we all were for a long time. I mean, we knew. What did we say? He'd only played like 20 games since 2017, something like that.
I think he played 8 games actually.
Not even. Yeah. So he would.
something
I mean, we knew that his body was breaking down. We knew that he wasn't gonna be able to play. We knew that. But when I woke up yesterday and I saw that he was retiring, it hurt me more than I thought it was going to. And yeah, it stinks. It really stinks. A cornerstone in all of our childhoods, and you don't get a second baseman like that every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of a weird feeling because for 3 years we never really saw him on the field. We forgot how good he was, and then he retires, and it all kind of comes back. You see the highlight clips, you see all the pictures, all that kind of stuff, and you remember how big of a piece he was in 2007. And then 2013 as well, and then any time in between, and it just kind of rushes back. It's like, damn, like, again, you don't get a second baseman like that every day.
Yeah. And that's around when I started loving baseball. Was around 8 years old. I would sit in my family's living room, and I had DVDs of 2007 and 2004, and I would just watch those back continuously. Which one do you think hurts more, this or Big Papi's final game?
I gotta say Poppy because
that made a grown man cry.
Because he came out to the field and he was crying, and it was at Fenway, and it was one of those, like, you knew it was coming but you couldn't prepare for it.
Yep.
And then he just came out. He was so sad. They just got kicked out of the playoffs. Like it hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing about Poppy was that he had that whole farewell tour. He got the bullpen phone from the Orioles, which was a fantastic gift.
That was beautiful.
Never forget
If
that
you don't
one.
know what I'm talking about, he got at a certain year. I can't tell you what
It was
year
13,
exactly.
wasn't it?
I think it was 13, yeah.
Yeah, in 2013, Poppy was frustrated with he made an out, went back to the away dugout at Camden Yards, and he took his bat and just absolutely destroyed the phone to the bullpen.
If we're being
ruined it.
If we're being honest, he almost destroyed or ended Pedroia's career right then and
Yeah,
there.
he
he
almost
did.
he was
Inches
away with
away.
the fragments.
Inches away from hitting him with the bat.
Jeez.
Yeah, but the Orioles organization was very classy, what gave him a great gift, held on, had the foresight to hold on to that phone for however many years it took them, or it took Poppy to retire, 4 or 5, whatever it was. And they gave it to him on the farewell tour, and that whole entire farewell tour was just Poppy was raking that entire year. He
shouldn't have retired.
Yeah, he won. He was the best offensive player in the entire AL that year, essentially. So it was tough to see him go, especially since he was performing at such a high level.
Yeah, I remember for most of that 2017 season, we were struggling with the DH, and that was why we brought in JD for 2018, because that was such a big hole. And that was one of the reasons why when we got to the playoffs in 2017, we didn't go far. We'd gotten Sale, but we still needed that one piece. I remember through most of that year, people were like, when is Poppy going to come out of retirement? When is he coming back? Obviously, he wasn't going to. I mean, his feet were they had completely given up on him. And I loved everything they did with the farewell tour. And I wish that Pedroia had gotten a send-off like that. And I wish that they'd almost did something like the Mets did with David Wright.
I wanted that too, yeah.
He came back maybe for a series next year or something, because he deserved it. And it really I couldn't tell you the last time he played on the field. I don't remember it.
I would have liked to see him on the field one last time.
Yeah. It's just sad because we probably watched that game. And we probably watched the last time he stepped foot on the field and just never knew it.
Yeah.
And
seriously.
that honestly hurts more than anything else.
Didn't even know it.
Bro, it still hurts. It's going to take a long time to be able to really digest that. Because, like I said, we haven't seen him in, all last year and very little for the past 2 years before that. So it's just going to take a while to really think
just process.
He's actually gone. He's actually retired.
Yeah.
It's sad. But I wanted to get your guys' opinions on the offseason. All right. 2020 for the Red Sox. All right. Dustin Pedroia sadly wouldn't have made it better. But the 2020 season sucked. It was terrible. All right. We had guys like Robert Stock pitching. Do you guys remember Robert Stock?
The only thing I remember about Robert Stock was the tweet that someone said about
his
him,
wife.
and his wife responded. That was probably the highlight of the season.
No, it's a funny story about Robert Stock. All right. Remember, I think, was it Domingo Tapia? Yeah, we released Domingo Tapia,
I
right?
couldn't even tell you who that is if I'm being
Yeah,
He
no
honest.
was he was a really good. He was more of a prospect,
Mhm.
but had a 98 mile an hour heater. We could always use more of that. Right,
Absolutely.
his first. I still remember I was at work listening to the game. His first time he was on the mound in 2020. First pitch, 98 mile an hour fastball strike. Second pitch, 98 mile per hour home run. It was not good, but he's with the Mariners now. He got released. I was pissed about it. Put a post on Instagram saying if Robert Stock is back in a Red Sox uniform for 2021 and we don't have him, I'm gonna be pissed. And Robert Stock commented on it saying we'll just wait and see.
No way.
Now
That's so
he got
funny.
released. Now he's in the Cubs.
Oh,
The Cubs is where Red Sox players go to try and revive their career.
oh yeah.
Honestly.
There are way too
Started
many.
with Theo.
Yeah.
Some cases
followed.
you extend it a little bit, like John Lester. In some cases, you just die, like Kirk
Mhm.
Kimbrell.
I didn't realize
Yes,
that
that was sad.
Alan Webster was still pitching for the Cubs up until
Really?
like last year or 2 years ago. I hadn't heard of him in years.
I haven't
and
heard that name in so long.
when I saw him pitching, I was like, "Yep, classic Theo, like bringing his guys back." Actually,
Yep.
no, I don't think that was Theo's guy, but he still pitched for the Red Sox.
Do you guys remember Josh Osich?
Oh,
yeah.
boy, do I have a story
Yeah.
about Josh Osich.
Oh,
I went
please
to
tell.
I went to Winter Weekend last year, and they have like the autograph rooms
Oh,
Where-
yeah, I remember you telling this story on
This
Section
is a
10.
great story.
where you wait, you stand in line, you wait to see who comes out. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh boy, like maybe Ortiz or like I don't know anyone,
Maybe we'll get
Pedro,
lucky, yeah.
Devers,
Pedro.
boy. And I'm trying to think who comes out first. It was Fred Lynn. I was like, awesome, Fred Lynn, great. I mean, he's a little bit of an older guy. I don't know too much about him, but I know he's like a Red Sox legend.
Yeah.
Then this guy comes out, sits down at the autograph table, and I'm like, who the hell is that guy? And it was Josh Osich. And I still have signed baseball from him, but I was just like, really? And my dad was like, hey, maybe he'll be like the next big thing in Boston. And he's not. Didn't even make it. the
Not
whole
even
season.
close.
Very
Pedro.
optimistic.
Take that 10 ERA and go shove it.
Horrible.
All right. We had so many guys who you just will never remember the name, like Mike Kickham, even though he had beautiful hair.
Mike
Uh,
Dickham, our second favorite guy,
Yes.
to Matt Hall.
We love Matt Hall on our podcast. Very
I'm the-
sarcastically. But
You know
I'm the
who my
president of
favorite
the
player
Matt
is?
Hall fan club.
Let's hear.
Nope.
Who's your favorite player?
That's my man, Kevin Pillar.
I miss
Pilar
Pilar.
Beautiful man.
He was a solid piece when he was on our team for that half a season.
I think if we didn't sign Kike, I think Pilar is a prime candidate to come back on the team.
We'll get into that. All right. First guy I want to get into is Garrett Whitlock. All right. Now Garrett Whitlock was a guy we took with our Rule 5 draft pick from the Yankees, which the Yankees at the time really needed pitching. So it was weird that they let him go off the 40. I interviewed the guy a couple months back in early December, like right after the Rule 5 draft. And I can't wait to see what this guy can do. He's a very humble guy, and he's just so excited for that experience to be on the field.
He's got pretty good numbers. I mean,
It is not bad at all.
no, I mean better than 90% of the guys we had last year. So
Exactly. And with the rest of the pitchers we got, he's going to be a guy that can really just kind of take the back reins for a season, come in when he's needed, like maybe in blowout games or something like that, and just learn and be better for this team come next year, 2 years down the road.
Yeah, we really just need him to be solid this next year. And like you said, come in, take his spots that we're going to need him to come in and do good enough. Just be a solid person.
Mhm.
And going back to your original question is how we feel about the offseason. I feel pretty good about the offseason so far, honestly, with guys like Kike and Ottavino and Richards. This is pretty much how I envisioned this offseason was going to go. I
Mhm.
didn't imagine we'd even get a guy like Ottavino, so that pleasantly surprised me.
That I was not expecting that at all. That was amazing.
So overall, people are hating on Heim. People have called to cancel him to get him out of Boston, all this stuff. I mean, we didn't give him enough of a chance to
No.
even do anything yet. We didn't give him a full off season,
Mhm.
some people. So I'm happy with the way things are going right now. I never expected us to sign Trevor Bauer or one of those top free agents. I expected us to do what Heim does, sign these low to mid-level contracts and just get some solid pieces. And so far, that's what he's brought us, and I couldn't be happier with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's
Steve, I'm in the same boat. I mean, when I think about the 2020 Red Sox, they were terrible, but I also don't think that they were too far off from 2018, where they were contending for a World Series, won a World Series, contending for a World Series. And I think that these few little pieces of Kike and bringing back Cora back and, a couple healthy seasons of some guys getting a little more experience under some belts, I think that 2021 is going to look a lot better. I think I may be jumping forward here, but, my prediction for this year, I think this team probably has a ceiling of like a good wild card team, like competitive wild card team. I don't know that they're going to win the
But
division.
Clausen, after last season, that's all you can really ask for.
Exactly. And that's a good bounce back. Going from the third worst team in baseball to a wild card team, I mean, that's a huge jump.
yeah.
Austin, I'm gonna agree and disagree with you. I'm gonna disagree with you to the point that you said this team was close to the 2018.
Yeah, I don't know where you're coming from.
No,
on that.
I meant like
I don't know where that
minus
came
Mookie
from.
Betts.
Minus
Minus
the second
Minus
best
any
player in
sort
baseball,
of pitching
Craig
staff.
And
Kimbrell, Joe
bullpen.
Kelly,
And bullpen.
Sale.
David Price.
All right. Minus the
Erod.
pitching staff.
There's a lot of guys.
Yes,
However,
there's a lot missing.
I will agree with you. I'm under the – well, I've always been the type of guy to believe that in any sport, if you get into the playoffs, you have as good of a chance as any other team to make a run at the title. And I know that pitching is what's going to carry you in baseball. I don't know if the Red Sox have that depth this year. But listen, if you get into the wild card and you're playing, I don't know, even like the White Sox, like I could see the Red Sox making some noise, maybe getting to the championship series. I don't know. I think that they patched up the holes pretty nicely, and I'm pretty confident.
Here's the thing. I don't have as much confidence as you guys. I'm gonna be clear. I don't think this team has a lot of depth now, and I really like it. We have 13 guys that can pitch for us. 9 of them or 10 of them I feel confident in, minus Ryan Brazier, Jeffrey Springs, and Matt Barnes. The other 9 I feel completely confident in pitching for us.
You feel confident in Matt Hall?
Matt Hall, is he still here? There's no way he's still here.
Oh, he's still here.
No,
You're kidding. I thought he was.
Just wanted to make sure he wasn't in that confident list.
No,
Hey,
hell
But
no.
also, Matt Barnes, his spin rate is like top 3 in the league every year, so don't sleep on that.
But check out that ERA. He's about
that's
as
'cause
clutch as Chapman.
No, his K per 9, excuse me, not his spin rate.
His
His
K
spin
per
rate's
9.
pretty solid.
Steve,
His K per 9.
That's because
Yeah.
he just serves up curveballs to every other guy, and they kill him.
Yeah, it's either a strikeout, a double, or a home run with him. There's
No, you're right. You're right. That's accurate.
And that's why his
Like
ERA
Craig
is
Kimbrell.
through the roof. Like Kimbrell, like Chapman. Imagine this team were to trade for Chapman instead of Ottavino.
I don't even want
Oh
Chapman.
my
I don't
god,
want him.
I don't want
that would have been terrible. I would have hated that so much. But yeah, like I'm just not as confident as you guys. I don't think we have the star power enough to really make a good hole. And you guys can come back at me and say the Marlins from last year, like they were projected to be third worst in the league and ended up being bounced in the second round. And do I think that's a possibility? Yeah, but realistically, I see this Red Sox team with probably in between 75 to 78 wins at the end of the
Well,
season.
you don't even see them as a wild card team.
I do
even
not.
borderline.
I don't even see them top 2 in the AL East. Maybe
Well,
not. top 3 at
Personally,
this point.
I would say that their ceiling is maximum a wild card spot with a first round knockout. Like they're done. They're not going to win a playoff game, I don't think. But at the same time, even if they did make the wild card game, which you can argue whether or not that's actually a playoff game, because I know some people don't like the wild card and they don't like.
It's playoff. It's playoff baseball.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it's playoff
post.
baseball too.
It's postseason baseball. It's not
it's
playoff
postseason, it's
baseball.
playoffs, whatever. I don't.
That's my
Either
take
way,
on
they're
it.
not going to win it. But at the same time, I'd be more than happy if they did.
Mhm.
But you're right. I don't have. Don't get me wrong. My confidence in the Sox team next year isn't blowing anybody away. I'm not overly confident in these guys, but at the same time, it's the off season, and I'm watching these moves develop in front of me. And I want to believe in this team, and I want to believe that they're going to make some kind of run at some kind of like postseason game. And whether or not that's just me being a homer and I love the Red Sox, sure, you can call me that. But that's just what I want to believe at this time. And hopefully they don't prove me wrong. There's definitely a chance that they do. But hey, if you're a Red Sox fan and you can't believe right now, then when can you believe? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like after the traumatic 2020 season, we'll call it that, right? So basically the way I listen to most of the Red Sox games, especially once I worked overnight at Lowe's. So what I do is I just sit there, put my headphones in, turn on the Red Sox game, and just listen and basically cry in between the shelves as I'm stocking them. Yeah, never
Brutal.
Never again. It was bad when I needed to use my work to distract me from the Red Sox game because it was just that bad.
Instead
was
of
so
vice
bad.
versa.
We were saying last episode that we could only remember maybe 3 to 5 games from last year that you could like pick out and actually remember. Like one of them was
Same,
opening
yeah.
day. One of them was the Verdugo catch to end the game. One was the game where like Zuelin caught for Kevin Plawecki. Like there were only a handful of games in there. I mean, and again, like half of them weren't even positive. So
Yeah, no, I remember the game they had against the Yankees where they were up like 5-3. Oh my God, they're gonna run us out of time. Whatever, we'll pick it back up. I'll cut it. But what was I talking about? I completely forgot. Oh yeah, the game against the Yankees where they're up like 5-3, and then they decided to pitch to Aaron Judge, who at the time had like 6 home runs in 5 games. And what do you know? Boom, another one, and we end up losing that game. That was when we still
Major
thought we were
shocker,
good.
right?
Yeah, that was when we still thought we were good.
So going back to the Red Sox ceiling, I'm going to make kind of a bold prediction right here. Not that bold. I think that both wild card teams are going to come out of the AL East this year. And I think that second wild card is going to be between the Red Sox and the Blue Jays this year. I think that the White Sox are going to win the Central. The A's are going to win the West. I think that the Indians have sold off too many pieces. I don't think that they're going to be ultra competitive this year. And other than the Indians, I've never been that big on the Twins. I think that the Twins are kind of overrated. The Astros, they're an interesting team this year as well. I think they're going to miss the playoffs this year, which leaves 2 playoff spots for 4 teams, or 3 playoff spots for 4 teams. So the Red Sox, Blue Jays, Rays, and the Yankees. And again, Red Sox just have to stir it up in the division. Winning games in the division is what's going to be the key this year. So I could definitely see it happening.
100%.
The AL East is definitely tougher than most years. I can think of a lot of times where the AL East was the Blue Jays were the Blue Jays, the Rays were bottom of the barrel, the Orioles were same bottom of the barrel, and it was the Yankees who might be good, might not be good, and the Red Sox who also might be good, might not be good. So there are plenty of those years, but I think this year, where the Rays are coming off a World Series, I don't think they'll be as good, but still coming off a World Series. And then the Blue Jays with everything they've done this offseason, and the Yankees who haven't gotten better but haven't gotten worse. I think you have those 3 teams that, you know, you can stack up against the Red Sox and say none of them are an easy out. And you're going to have to, just like Garner said, you're going to have to win those division games if you want to make it through, because you're not going to have as good of a break playing against other teams if you can't win in your division.
All right.
Yeah.
So before we end of the call and restart again, I need to ask you guys, give me a grade on how you feel the Red Sox did this offseason. From A to F, go.
I'd give
I'll
it
go first. I would give it a solid B to B minus, somewhere in that area. Probably more towards a B minus, but at the same time, I wasn't expecting much more than that, so I'm happy with it.
I would go with honestly like a B plus to an A minus, because this is what we were expecting them to do. As Steve said, there were no expectations to go out and get Trevor Bauer or George Springer. And honestly, I don't even want George Springer. I don't want to be tied up in a big contract again where in 2 to 3 years he's just eating at the potential we have to sign other free agents. So honestly, I'm fine with it. These were the moves that I thought they were going to somewhat make, yet they still surprised me getting like Ottavino. I really like Richards. I thought that they were going to go for similar guys, just not as good of talent. So it's pretty good marks in my book, honestly.
I would say B minus, and I'm tempted to even kick them down to C plus because of
That's
seeing
brutal.
so, like Gardner said, they did what they were supposed to, and they were supposed to go out and sign a couple guys to stay under the luxury tax. They're still kind of reeling from the Mookie Betts trade, and they still have a lot way to go in pitching. But I look around the MLB, and I think the Blue Jays just got a whole hell of a lot better.
Mhm.
And there's other teams, maybe not all of them in the AL, but there's other teams in the NL that traded for superstars. I'm sure we'll get into it later in the episode. But guys like Lindor were on the move, and guys like Nolan Arenado were on the move.
Yeah, but
So
like that doesn't fit the Red Sox. You got to
it
look
It
at
doesn't at all.
Yeah,
it doesn't, but it
I know
tells
that
me
the Blue
it
Jays
tells
get
me.
better with Springer. The Red Sox probably would have too, but long term, how does that benefit the team? I mean,
That
So,
just
are
that
you
just ruins
happy
the progress of
if the
Wilson
Red
and-
Sox walk away with Springer? Are you really happy with that?
No, but I'm just saying.
Exactly.
So here's,
what
here's
would
my
make
point.
What would have
I
made
don't-
you happy this offseason?
How would that
Here's
bring
my
us
point.
up from a C+?
So here's my point. So the Sox did what they did, and they were fine with that. But with all these other guys on the move, it tells me that there are teams that are pushing for a World Series harder than this. And where you're going out and like the Mets going out and getting, who did they? James McCann. They signed him behind the plate, and Francisco Lindor, the second best shortstop in baseball. Guys like that are on the move, and Nolan Arenado, best third baseman in the game, on the move. There are teams that are actively trying for a World Series harder than the Red Sox. And not that 2021 was the year, just because the market was so thin. But I look around and say, if you were to power rank them, the Red Sox are probably not even the top 10 of off seasons, just because of the moves they've made. They made depth moves and they made team friendly moves, but they're not really competitive moves. You know what I mean?
I disagree with you, honestly. Like, are these moves going to put butts in seats next year? Like, no, they're not. Is anybody coming out to see Garrett Richards pitch? Like, not really. But is this
No one can.
Well,
really.
that's the thing. Although maybe, I don't know.
Hold on. But look, I see what Clausen is saying
No,
because
I get it, but those moves fit those teams better. The Red Sox aren't going out and trading for Arenado. Who are we going to
No.
trade? Casas?
Well, right.
Like, why
So-
would we do that?
Gardner,
Well,
I'm not
no,
saying
I
I'm
see
not
what
saying the
Fox is
Sox.
saying.
I'm not
I see
saying they
Fox.
should have signed those guys, but
What are you saying?
but that caliber of player is widely available on the market.
It
right
wasn't, though. And
Hold
for
on,
what?
hold on.
But it was.
Okay. No, we
Hold on,
had
hold on.
that caliber of player. It wasn't our time to win a World Series. It's still not our time to win the World Series. The timetable isn't right. We had Mookie. We traded away Mookie to get assets to prepare us for the future. Our timeline is 2023 to 2024. In no way, shape, or form should the Red Sox have been looking to buy anyone this offseason. They should have been looking to get guys that maybe can play well for 1 year, or they can flip at the trade deadline.
I agree.
all right, so you guys are
But-
totally right. Hold on. Let me try and defend Clausen
All right,
for
all
a
right.
hot second right here.
All right, you got like
So-
3 minutes.
The way that I think that Clausen is looking at this question is he's looking at the offseason as a whole. And the Red Sox are included in this offseason as just a singular piece of it. And I think that the way that we looked at this grading segment is that we were looking at the Red Sox offseason in and of itself as a singular thing, not compared to anybody else. And Clausen's looking at it as this thing that is a part of something bigger, i.e. the entire MLB offseason. You have this entire MLB offseason where Lindor is moving, Arenado's moving, blah, blah, blah. The Mets have an A, I guess, in this situation because they got all these pieces.
Mhm.
And compared to a Mets offseason, the Red Sox offseason isn't necessarily as flashy. It doesn't look as good. And it's both the same 2020 to 2021 offseason. So if the Mets have an A and they did all this and the Red Sox did all this, then if that's an A, then this might be more like a C plus, B minus.
That's
I
right.
see where he's coming from that in that situation. But at the same time, the way that I think this question should have been fielded, no offense, Clausen, I think that it should have been fielded as a singular thing outside of any other team because we're not worried about any other team. We're worried about what the Red Sox did. We're worried about the Red Sox offseason, who the Red Sox signed, and that's it.
100%.
So I think you gave them a little bit of a low grade. I can kind of see where you're coming from.
Let me just say one thing really, really quick.
Go for it.
Other teams are always going to get better. Going into 2018, when we won 108 games, the Yankees traded for the guy who hit the most home runs in the National League in like 15 years. They got the MVP. Teams are always going to get better, but we do what we need to do to make our team better, and sometimes that outweighs signing Bryce Harper and Manny Machado. So I see where you're getting at, but I think these moves fit the team really well.
Yeah,
I
so
agree.
Comparatively, I'd give them the B minus C plus as a whole. If you told me if Chaim Bloom was like, all right, this is my checklist, and he checked everything off, I'd give him like a B plus, like B plus.
That's
All
fine.
right, we gotta
well,
stop
this
this and move on to the next one.
Yeah.
All right, so going into more news around the MLB, we had a very big trade happen, and honestly, with the Arenado trade, let's be honest, the Rockies got fleeced out of their minds.
Yeah, I think
wouldn't even
I didn't see
close.
the complete trade because there was constantly more and more being
Mhm.
revealed about it. I don't know exactly who was traded, to be honest, but when you're trading away a guy with Nolan Arenado, and unfortunately we are very familiar with how that feels. If you're a Rockies fan, I'm sorry, because I'm sure that no package could ever feel like it was worth it to you. But at the same time, if you're a Cardinals fan, congratulations, because you now have the best two, or you are the best corner infielders in the league. Like, you're the best duo in the league, Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado. I know Paul Goldschmidt isn't necessarily what he used to be, but congratulations.
Yeah, I feel bad for Rockies fans. I don't know. The Rockies just seem to always have a good core of hitters. The pitchers, I mean, I get Coors Field. It's not an intriguing pitch or a place to pitch for a pitcher.
No.
But if I'm a Cardinals fan, I'm very happy. And I've always kind of lived by the motto that you never want to trade with the Cardinals because they always seem if you trade with them and the Rays, if you're sending a player there, they will always do well on one of those teams.
Mhm.
Like what the Red Sox did. You got Alan Craig back. I mean, Cardinals knew what they were giving up there. But yeah, I mean, it stinks for Rockies fans. I don't really know too much about the prospects they got back, but giving up 6 years of basically prime Arenado to a Cardinals team, I don't think he'll put up the same numbers he did at Coors Field because St. Louis is a big ballpark as well. But
Yeah.
he's a top 5 third baseman in the game, and they went out and got him.
Yeah, I mean, again, like this sucks for the Rockies. This is great for the Cardinals, but I almost think this is better for baseball. The MLB is a brand. It sucks to have those small market teams hogging, and this sounds weird because, I don't want like this big shift of all the great players to big markets because that's not what baseball is all about.
Yeah.
But, it kind of stinks to have these teams like the Rockies have Nolan Arenado where people aren't really watching Rockies games. The Rockies aren't going to the playoffs. Like, it's kind of the same deal with Mike Trout where Mike Trout's never been to the playoffs, and he's the best player of our generation.
Once,
Yeah,
right?
he was there once, but they
He
got
was there
swept.
once.
Yeah,
They got swept. So we really haven't seen the best player of our generation. People call him the next Willie Mays for a reason, and we haven't seen him in the playoffs. So it's one of those things of it's great for baseball because if you take a team like the Cardinals that has a really good following and has a really good name to it, and you take the best third baseman in baseball and you bring him over there, then the Cardinals are all of a sudden way bigger of a threat. They're playing in way bigger games, and a lot more casual fans are going to go watch, the call it NLD or NLCS or something. If it's Cardinals and Dodgers or something, and Nolan Arenado's lining up at third base.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, again, sucks for the Rockies, great for the Cardinals, but I think it's even better for the MLB.
Yeah. And let's be honest here. It's not going to be Cardinals, Dodgers. It's going to be Padres, Dodgers. We all know that.
Looks like
For a
it.
fact. Yeah.
Getting shut down
better
left and
for
right
them.
here.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you know what would be interesting? What I just thought of. So one of those teams is going to win the division. One's going to get the wild card. If the Dodgers have the best record in the league, then they're going to face off in the division series.
Yeah, NLD.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
I forgot about that.
the wild card team plays the team with the best record.
Yeah.
Unless Atlanta or whoever wins the Central, I guess St. Louis has a better record. But I mean,
Mhm.
theoretically, we'll probably see that in the first round, which will be interesting. So
Yeah.
dogfight.
It was great baseball.
Mm-hmm. Here's a problem, though, with the Rockies, right? When we traded Mookie Betts, we got an already MLB-ready player in Alex Verdugo, and we got a couple good prospects that can be MLB-ready soon. With the Indians, they got Lindor, or they traded Lindor. They got 2 or 3 MLB-ready players and 1 or 2 prospects that'll be ready in the near future. With the Cardinals, they got Nolan Arenado and $50 million. And none of us can name any of the guys they got back.
You're right. You're
It's-
right.
Like, obviously, I'm not putting Arenado on the same pedestal as Mookie Betts. Obviously, I think Trout, Betts, and
Everybody
Yelich
else.
are on the same, and then everyone else.
Yeah.
You know, I put Lindor and Arenado on the same pedestal. Not obviously. You guys get what I mean.
No, I get you.
But it was just
Trout,
an absolute
Mookie, everyone
fleecing.
else.
It was just an absolute fleecing for who I feel is like a top 2 third baseman in the MLB right now. And you get that much money back to help pay off most of his contract. Rockies fans, I feel terrible for. It's not a good time.
Well, that's the thing, is that when you're trading a guy like this away, like they did with Mookie Betts, the one piece of excitement is like, oh, who are we getting back? Who's the future of this team? And when you get back guys who are not exciting and not ranked very high by the talent raters in the MLB, the scouts, it stinks. There's nothing you can do about it. It's like, you know, it's kind of how we felt with Mookie Betts, except you're right. We got Verdugo, who's been really good, and Jeter Downs might be our second baseman of the future. And I was just reading a little bit about these prospects, and I mean, even one of them, the Rockies were like, he might top out as like our 4th best starter. Like, that's really one of your top guys that you get back for Arenado, really. So, yeah, I do feel for them.
Like I said, I'd love to be in that front office, like kind of be a, have a wiretap in that phone to understand, what the Cardinals had to say to the Rockies to get what's the sell for those prospects, unless the Rockies were just completely, unaware of these prospects and how good or not so good they are. It really is puzzling why, they didn't get a top 5 prospect in baseball for I would say the best third baseman in baseball.
Well,
So
it kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, there were rumors last year that Arenado might get traded, but honestly, it was maybe a day before that some rumors started stirring around.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Arenado had said anything, because, I mean, let's be honest, he wasn't completely happy in Colorado, but he wasn't like a James Harden situation where he was like, get me out of here. So I don't know what happened.
Yeah, exactly, man. I don't know, and it's weird to compare this trade to like anything else, because like you said, this is something that was out of the blue. We all knew he wasn't too happy. His team hasn't had any success at all throughout his 7 years or so with the team. He hasn't had any success, and he's around that prime of his career. He has an opt-out clause for next year in the contract, so the Cardinals are going to have to restructure that to make sure they have him for the rest of the 6 years. But if he wasn't getting traded, he was just going to get taken out. Basically, he was just going to opt out and just go wherever he wanted to next year. So
I guess I think maybe it was a desperation move, but if you're that desperate, I find it hard to believe that the Rockies were simply this desperate, because I think that every team in baseball would have been able to put something.
Yeah, I mean, for Nolan Arenado, for nothing, because like you said, every team in the league is going to be interested in Nolan Arenado. I don't care if Nolan Arenado's on the block, you got to listen to something and you got to throw something out there, because you're not going to get another opportunity for the best third baseman in baseball. Like you said, Clausen, I totally agree with that. I think he's the best third baseman in baseball. So I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking.
He's had one good take this episode. That was the only good one he's had.
I'll
Better have one than none, though.
Exactly.
True.
Yeah.
Keep us on our toes.
Hey, you're doing better than like Max Kellerman. So.
I was gonna say,
Honestly.
I'm like Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
I hit the mark once. I say Johnny Manziel's gonna be bigger than LeBron, and then I come back and hit on the.
No, we're not gonna compare the Manziel to LeBron anymore. No,
I love Manziel coming out. Getting a little off topic here, but
let that take die, please.
Yeah, leave it alone, Clausen. It cannot help you.
I don't know. I had a Manziel Browns jersey. I'm gonna leave it with that.
All right. So the MLB just came out with a statement. I believe it was yesterday that their offer for a 154 game season with a added playoffs has been rejected. So we're officially going to have a 162 game season with regular playoffs. Now, I know there have been a lot of different rules coming through in 2020, 2021, but do you guys feel we're going to be able to maintain a full 162 game season? Because we saw with the NFL, they were able to do a full 17 weeks, but so many things had to be changed around. And I'm probably lagging at some point. If I am, yell at me to say something again. My internet's unstable.
Hasn't been too bad.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
you've been good.
Okay, good. But yeah, how do you guys feel about that? Do you think we'll be able to keep a 162 game season going?
I can't say that I'm too confident in anything with the COVID going on. 162 games, that's a lot of games where there's a lot that could go wrong. So, I mean, hoping for it, obviously, more than anything. But if I'm being realistic, I would say that it's probably not going to happen. Maybe more like 80% of that, something in that ballpark. But like I said, never going to root against it. I would hate to say something bad about it and try and jinx it or anything like that. So hopefully we do hit it.
Hopefully.
I mean, 162, I think 60 was hard to keep. You know, there was a lot of stuff going on. There was a lot of teams, especially at the beginning, that were like the Marlins. They had that huge breakout with like 20 guys.
Yeah, that was crazy. On
the COVID list. So I think with 60 games and then you add 100 to that, I mean, that's a lot. And, there was I enjoyed the rule changes in 2020. It was a nice little change up for baseball. And I actually would have liked to see a 154 game season because I think 162 is really long. You get to a point in the season where you kind of have that hype at the beginning and then you hit like the dog days of summer and it's cool. And then it kind of like fizzles in and out. And then you get to the playoffs and it's really cool again. So I think cutting out, what's that, 8 games?
Yeah.
It's not much, but a lot of people are calling for a shorter season. And I think it actually would have been, kind of a cool thing to see, at least experiment with for a year.
Honestly, so the 154 game proposal included them pushing back the start of the season, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so in that case, no, I don't like it. However, I think that if I was the commissioner, I think it would be smart to start on time and just shorten the season by like 8 to 15 games because we've seen it in the past too, where even with weather, there will be a game that still has to be made up between like Pittsburgh and San Diego where a team will have to travel for a day and make like even then that can be challenging to make up. And we're in the midst of a pandemic right now. And again, as Clausen said, we struggled at points to make it through 60 in 2 months, make it 162 games in 6 months. I would love to see it happen, but I think we just need to be realistic with things. I think if a lot of the players can get the vaccine, then we might be on a different path here. But again, I don't know how possible that is. I don't know if, where the athletes stand on that list to get that. But I think they just need to build in more off days or maybe the other solutions. And, maybe you have a 4-game series in 3 days. You play a doubleheader one of those days and you free up 10 extra off days for, the Red Sox to travel to Baltimore when a couple players get COVID or something like that.
Yeah.
You need to just be more creative with it because having a traditional season, as much as I hate to say, it's probably not the most realistic thing to happen.
Yeah. No, I get that. And going off what Klaus was saying, the rules that we had in 2020, some of them I really liked. The second base rule in extras, I hated with a passion.
Terrible.
That sucked. Universal DH, I liked everything else I really liked, but I wanted to get back to that, and that was great. And as you were saying, Andrew, I'm losing my train of thought here so bad. But we wanted the season to start right on time because, of course, for us as content creators for the Red Sox, it would suck to have that happen. Like I was saying, when I started, we had the Mookie Betts trade, and then we had 4 months worth of absolutely nothing. Zero content to start out a Red Sox podcast. Would not recommend.
Hey, we were in a similar situation. I mean, we started literally 2 days after the World Series ended, and then it was like Alex Cora is the big news for a while, and then I think we had like 3 or 4 episodes in a row where the title was like, who's coming to Boston? Like, what's happening next? And there was just like,
please sign someone.
Yeah, I was like, every week, like next week it's going to happen. And it didn't end up happening until like the end of January. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and like you said, I've officially given up on trying to create catchy titles for episodes. You guys will see this episode. I have no idea what I'll call it yet, but y'all will see. You'll see it tomorrow. But finally, I want to get into is we were talking about this earlier with Trevor Bauer, right? Some Red Sox fans like, oh, we're going to get Bauer. It's going to be great. Jared Carrabis will force him to come here, and it'll all be fine. And then Bauer came back with wearing a Yankees hat, but we don't talk about that. That was dark. Where's he going? Right now, he only has one offer on the table from an LB insider, and that's from the Mets, which scares me. But where's he going?
The thing about Bauer is that his market is not nearly as big as that he thought it would be. It's not nearly as big. And a report came out that the Dodgers noticed this was the case and are saying now if it stays this way and that Bauer's market isn't going to increase, and if it stays smaller than expected, then hey, maybe as the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are willing to spend as much money as they want because they're probably like the third biggest market in the league, they might go in there and they might scoop up Trevor Bauer, add him to an already top 2 or 3 rotation in the league, and nobody would like that. So hopefully the Mets do actually sign Trevor Bauer. That's what I would hope for personally. I'd way rather him go to New York and make them better than the Yankees, because obviously, I don't know about you, but I know I don't like the Yankees. So if the Mets could be better than the Yankees, that'd be pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to the Astros. I'm kidding.
I was just about to say.
Nah, completely kidding. Although I will say that the Astros, like, if the whole scandal never happened, I think it could be an okay fit with him. The Astros are kind of short with pitching, 1-year deal. I agree with Steve. I think he's going to the Mets. I think that Steve Cohen, despite him not having a Twitter account now, I think that he's going to put his money where his mouth is, and I can't even think who they signed now. McCann, right? But they missed out on Springer. They missed out on Real Muto. So maybe Springer. Maybe Bauer. I think Bauer.
Yeah, I think the Mets would be a cool spot. I'm trying to think of who else. Actually, the Angels. The Angels. I would love to see Trevor Bauer, the Angels, because he's from SoCal. Him and Mike Trout would be cool. I know Trevor Bauer has a huge social media presence. If you guys haven't checked out his like Twitter and his YouTube and stuff, it's electric. There was some video not too long ago. I'll keep it short, but there was some video. He brought in some like content creator or something, and they were doing like batting practice, and like guys are like ripping smelling salts and like getting in the cage against Trevor Bauer, and he was just throwing like 95 like heaters like right by him. It was so funny. And the Angels, the Mets would be cool as well. Big market. I'd want them to be better than the Yankees, but I think the Angels, I would love to see him in the Angels as long as he doesn't go to the Dodgers or the Astros or the Yankees. I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. So I know this episode has gone long. All right. We've been at about an hour now, somewhere around that. Really quick before we go, I just wanted to ask you guys one question. So you guys went on Section 10. First, I want to hear, how did that end up happening? Because I remember listening to the show before where they were talking about you guys. And how's it been after being able to like keep in contact with those guys, have them on your show and all that stuff?
All right, maybe I can field the first part of this question. So one day, it was just a normal day, none different than any other. We were still very small. It was probably after episode 3, and I had an idea, literally just randomly, and was like, hey, I don't ever use Reddit, but I know that there's a subreddit for the Red Sox, and that might be a good spot to post a link to our podcast if the moderators of that page let us. And I made a Gonbridge Reddit account, and I sent the moderators of that subreddit, the r/Red Sox, said, hey, do you guys mind if I post on your subreddit for my podcast? And they were totally cool with it. threw it up there. Jared Carabas, obviously the host of Section 10, happened to see it at the time. We got extremely lucky. We got extremely fortunate that he happened to see it, and he listened to a little bit of our podcast, and he happened to like what he heard. Shout out to Nomar Garcia Parra, better than Derek Jeter.
And Derek Jeter.
It's pretty much history from there. So that's the first part of the question. I don't know if Gardner or Clausen wants to finish the second part of the question on how it's been since then.
Well, so we kind of found out about it too. It was middle of December. We had just released episode 6, I think. And Steve texted us. It was like 2 a.m. He was like, holy crap. Like, they just mentioned us on Section 10. Like, not directly, but he was like, there's no way they were talking about anyone else because they were like talking about Reddit and everything. So we were like, that's crazy. And then, we threw stuff like the clip up on our like Instagram stuff. We're like, awesome, trying to go to bed. And then Steve texts us like 3:30. And he's like, they actually like said our name. They like came back to us and we're like, no way. So it was crazy. For all back in the last spring. And so I had his phone number and I texted him and I was like, hey, like, you definitely don't remember who I am, but that podcast who you mentioned, like, that's mine. He's like, oh, sweet. Like super funny. And so the next week we planned something together and, we're super fortunate. I mean, we're not taking any of this for granted because again, it was honestly pure luck, but, it's been amazing. Clausen, I'll let you kind of finish this off, like where it's gone since then.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it a little personal, like a little more of a personal level. So going into like the first couple episodes, I mean, I know somewhat about the Red Sox. I have my good amount of knowledge, but at the same time, when I would go into episodes, I would, prepare a little bit. I would have an idea of what we're talking about, but I wouldn't really dive into it and spend all this time on it. Where now, after Section 10, and now that we have some listeners, I've kind of gotten to that point of being like, all right, I have to be on my A game, and just it's kind of forced me to get much better with this. So, that's very cool. And then the other part is just kind of having those guys that are there. Jared Carabas, obviously, he's not on speed dial or anything, but he knows who we are. So if he ever sees us in his DMs or anything, he's a little more prone to answer, or at least check it out.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of having those guys, knowing that we were in the same shoes that they were at the start of their podcasting journey and everything like that is just really cool. So Jared Carabas, I don't think we really can't speak high. We can't even speak higher enough than we do of him now. He's just really an awesome guy.
Nah, he's been amazing to us. And I know Steve's gone. His laptop died. I'll relay his message real quick. He said, thank you for having us on. Ton of fun. Hope to work together in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, the one other thing I was going to say is actually something Steve said, which he probably would have said was, I think it was Clausen, like episode 2 or 3. He was like, even if we get 5 or 10 like consistent people who listen to us every week, like that's crazy that people put in the time to do that.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that it's multiplied way past that. And we'll have people, tweeting at us every week, like what they thought about this, what they thought about that. And it's so crazy to us, especially that a good majority of them don't live in New England and how big Red Sox Nation is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like one of my biggest fans, shout out JD. He lives in LA. Like out of all places, he found me like from all the way across the country.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, we have, we've had people message us, from Asia too, and just being like, hey, like
really?
Yeah, like used to live in Boston. Like it's awesome to hear. Like it's unbelievable. And it really, it's just crazy because, we sit here like this and we talk. It's the 3 of us or, the 4 of us, someone else. Mm-hmm. And, we edit it a little bit and we put it up, and it's just weird to think because you see the numbers come in, you see people download it, but you don't actually think about like this many people listen to us talk about this, like, it still blows my mind. And I think it will for a while. And yeah, hopefully we can like put some names to faces someday. And once COVID is over, meet some of those people. Cause it's just, everybody's been so supportive and we can't thank everybody enough.
No, I think probably the coolest thing is when we're able to kind of look at our statistics a little bit, see where things are spots is in Washington State.
Shout out Lake Stevens, Washington.
Yeah, Lake Stevens, Washington has more downloads than my hometown.
Why?
Yeah.
And it was rivaling Gardner's for a while too. Like I think it overtook it for
pretty
a
close,
couple
yeah.
days. But
Yeah.
it's just crazy that we have people from literally almost every continent.
Yeah,
I think we're missing.
I think we're 47 states and like 17 countries now. It's crazy.
I think we're missing like Africa or something.
Jeez.
Yeah, 6 continents too. Yeah, it's been insane. So
Yeah.
I don't even know how you guys check that, because with the RSS that I use, it only shows me like basic statistics, like how many people subscribed, how many people downloaded. And all that stuff.
okay. Yeah,
And-
we use Buzzsprout, which we really like. It's
Oh,
a
I
good.
gotcha.
It's a good.
I literally just picked the first one. I had no idea. Like I said, I had no idea what I was doing when I first started this. Put it up on Spotify at like episode 16. Didn't even know I could put it up on Spotify until then. Finally figured everything out.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing with us. I mean, I think when we recorded our first episode, we didn't have a Spotify page. We didn't have an Apple page.
Mhm.
I think we came up with the name. Oh, going back to how we came up with the name too. I don't think we answered.
Oh yeah, we
It
never
was-
answered that.
It was basically just us like firing around ideas. We were trying to think of something unique and Red Sox related.
Mhm.
And then we were like, hey, we all love Eck. We love when he's like, oh, he went bridge there. And then we kind of just played around with the wording a little bit.
Mm.
But yeah, at the time when we recorded our first episode, we literally came up with the name like 15 minutes before. We had nothing. We held on to it for a couple days, and finally, like hours before we posted it, we got approved for Spotify, and then we threw it up. And so yeah, it's been quite the journey, but we're ready for some real Red Sox baseball.
That is awesome, man. Like when I started this podcast, my friend and I literally sat for like a good 2-3 hours just trying to riff off names. And once I said, like, I was looking at like random Red Sox stuff that people might know, and then Pesky Pole Podcast, just it rolled off the tongue so well. The heavens opened up. It was like that glory moment of just, oh my God, this is it. This is
I'm not gonna lie. I think we might have I feel like Pesky Pole is one of the things we thought of.
We thought of it, and then I think we saw your
I
podcast.
think we saw you.
We can't do that. Like that's already taken.
I have some of the original like names that we had come up with. Most of them were like just super generic. So we have
Let me hear.
rounding first, 5-4-3 triple play featuring us, the High and Outside podcast, and Play at the Plate. So we just went with as unique as we could go, and that's
Oh,
what
we
came
had one more. That was so we were gonna do 3-run Johnson.
up. Oh yeah.
we kind of knocked that one out just in case it went a little haywire.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we figured Gone Bridge was a pretty good, middle ground of, it's not like, it works well.
Mm-hmm. No, and I like how when they were talking about in Section 10 the week before you guys got on, they got that reference like instantly.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't get it at first. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I was a little afraid as well that people were gonna go, "Oh, Gone Bridge, like what's that?"
Mm-hmm.
And I've had to explain it to a couple of people, but at the same time, the people that know baseball and have been around it for a while, they get it right away.
Yeah. That's the coolest part, I think, because I mean, a lot of my friends at school, they'll be like, "Oh, like, what does that mean?" And you have to explain it to them. But yeah, the diehard baseball fans, I mean, at least the Red Sox fans, they know it. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. All right, so I don't want to keep a lot more of your guys' time. I will let you guys go. We'll end the episode. Before we do, you guys got anything you want to say to the fans?
Just thank you for having us on. We really appreciate it, and we'll work something out soon. Have you on our show in the coming weeks, and it was just a ton of fun, and go Sox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. It's super cool that Red Sox podcasts are collaborating and everything like that. It's kind of nuts that we're going onto other shows and people want to come on to ours. Like it's really so cool. So yeah, thank you so much for reaching out to us and getting us on here. And I'm definitely looking forward to working with you in the future.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
guys, we're definitely going to keep in touch. For my fans, we are planning something on me going onto their show sometime in the near future. We'll figure something out, but make sure you guys go follow the Gone Bridge podcast on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube.
Yeah, we have most streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, and then you can follow us on Twitter at Gone Bridge and Instagram at the Gone Bridge Podcast.
All right, perfect. So with that being said, to the fans, thank you guys so much for watching. As is every week, roll that outro music. I will see you guys in the next one.
I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I've made mistakes, but mistakes make you strong. Let's break it down for a minute. I want the crown, I'm gon' get it. You hear me loud, man, I'm winning. Yeah, Charlie Sheen will be grinning. These ladies know that I'm sinning, and this is just the beginning. I'm closing in the night inning. There ain't no point in resisting. Living life like a dream, live it right, that's the thing. Every night got a team, I've been tied to the scene. Out on stage, here on screen. Okay, it's a dream, and I pray as a team. One day it'll be me. If I want it, then I get it. Head down, don't regret it. Push myself to the limit. If I play it, then I win it. I'm just saying, I'm just living for today. For a minute, I don't stay, I just visit. Have no shame, I admit it. Looking right at me to see if I succeed, to see if I believe. They're looking up to me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. I swear to God, man, I'ma make it soon. Silence all the haters as they see us making moves. I do what I want, so I got nothing to prove. Staying motivated, teaching others what to do. I'm staying focused, my mind is open. They start to notice that I'm in motion. There is no potion, you're not just chosen. It takes devotion to stay composed, man. Never stop, there ain't no time to fall. Try to live, get it all, you got one life to ball. Thinking big, never small, cause you gotta want it all. When you finally get that call, you get ready, take it all. Need a handout, I already stand out. Starting to advance now, ready to expand now. You don't have a chance now, cause we're in demand now. Make it by the grand now, feeling in command now. They're looking right at me to see if I succeed, to see if I believe. They're looking up to me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me.